You don't move on because you're ready to. You move on because you've outgrown who you used to be.
It's all about the antidote.
Hey, what's up guys? It's your girl Sarah here and welcome back to the Chateau for another video. You guys know we have some business that we need to handle before we jump into today's topic. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for all of your support. And don't forget at the end of the video to give me a big thumbs up if you want to see more content from me. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. We'd love for you to join us. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you guys don't miss any future videos. Now let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys can probably tell from the title, we're going to talk in great detail about what it meant for me to become her. Like, how did I define the steps or the requirements to become that highest version of myself? In some instances, I'm going to talk like really detailed, and then others I'm going to have another video explaining because it may take some time to do, and I want to make sure I get all of the things that I considered into this particular video. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and do this in two sections. First, I'm going to share some of the things that I felt like were a no-brainer for me, things that I could immediately define and I didn't need to put a lot of thought into. And then I'm going to share a series of questions that I asked myself that I needed to really sit and think about, provide the answers and the work that would go along with accomplishing that goal. Let's go ahead and get into the things that don't require a lot of thought. She is a Renaissance woman, knowledgeable of many things, and still open-minded enough to continue to learn about much more. She has an air of mystery about her because she never reveals more than necessary about herself. Growth is her goal, so she is always looking to better herself and only dedicating energy to those things that feed her soul. She is her own best friend. She is very intrigued with the ins and outs of herself, the strengths and weaknesses of herself, and she's always looking for ways to improve. She embraces her individuality and realizes that the fact that no one else can be her is her superpower. She takes days off. None of that no days off business around here. She takes time to relax and re-energize when required. She lives a life of luxury and expects nothing less. And she also realizes that material things are not required to live a life of bliss. She ignores all negative energy, does not react because she refuses to give negativity any of her energy. Never giving anyone who is bringing negativity to her energy in return. She realizes that outside noise does not matter, and she puts all of her dreams, goals, and desires first. She does not take things personally because she realizes that what others do is really a reflection of themselves and not her. She is a woman of substance. And she has many qualities that you can't find in just anyone. She is the queen of socialization. And that doesn't mean that she's always out socializing, but when in a situation where socialization is required, she can maintain a conversation, actively listen, and maintain a level of interest to those around her. And finally, she will forever count her blessings, never taking anything for granted, but always humble and thankful for all things that she has in her life. Okay, so now let's get into the question and answer portion. So first things first, we're gonna look at financially because that's a really key thing for me. So I had to ask myself, does she have debt? Does she have zero debt, or does she have minimal debt where it's easy to handle? Or what about savings? Does she have savings? Is that minimal or is it plentiful? How is it organized? Does she have long-term, short-term retirement savings? And that leads you to investments. Does she have investments? How does she invest her money? Does she have stocks? Does she have an IRA? What does that look like? And while on the topic of finances, what about her spending habits? Does she spoil herself every chance she gets, buying everything on a whim that she desires? Does she shop only in budget or just do whatever she would like? Does she look for quality over quantity, or is quantity the main goal? And let's shift to relationships. That's a really, really big one, because many times in relationships, people always think about the other person. But in this instance, I had to think about what my highest form of myself, what does she look like in relationships, in romantic relationships? Is she loving? Is she nurturing? Is she caring? Is she what her partner needs? And there's platonic relationships. And this one I had to do a lot of deep thinking about, because what do her platonic relationships look like? Is she maintaining relationships where she is a good friend, but it's not reciprocal and she's not receiving the things that she desires out of the friendship? I personally, throughout my life, have experienced that many times over. But does she do that? I maintain that as I move forward throughout this journey. And then there are parental relationships. I have children, so that definitely applies here. So I had to think about what her parental relationships look like. My children are definitely getting older, so it's definitely something to check with yourself on, because I know one thing. I definitely will always look at my daughter and my son like they're my babies, but they are not babies. So I had to ask myself, are you the parent that they need in this moment? Or are you the parent that you needed in this moment? That is a very, very significant question that I definitely had to sit down and write out the answers to. And again, we'll talk about those things when I break down relationships and what her relationships look like. And then there are work habits. I wanted to take a really, really close look and ask myself those hard questions and give myself the hard answers as to what my work habits look like today in comparison to her work habits. Is she reliable? Is she a hard worker? Does she do just enough to get by? What do her work habits look like? Then there are routines. And I have to tell you guys, this is one area where I really had to dig deep, because I gave myself a lot of grace all the time. But you can't accomplish very much without routines. So what routines does she have in place? Does she work out? Does she cook? Does she hang out? What routines? What is her wash day routine? What is her maintenance routine? What do those things look like? Again, another thing that we'll discuss later in great detail. What does she look like? Does she have a signature look, a signature hairstyle, a signature clothing style, a signature scent? What are the details of her appearance? How much does she weigh? Does she know how to do her own makeup and hair? What does her home look like? How is it decorated? What is her aesthetic? And I know everyone hates aesthetics, but I love it. So what is her aesthetic? Does she take care of her cars? Does she get them washed on a regular routine? Does she clean them out? All of those things in great detail I work to identify. What types of exercises does she do? Is she going Hollywood ham in the gym with weights? Or is she doing Pilates and cardio? Is she open to new friendships? Is she willing to put herself in a position to meet others and make new connections? So those are some of the questions that I asked myself when I was defining her. And as I shared with you guys before, I'm gonna break those things down into videos so that I can clearly explain. Now I will say, do not get discouraged because I know it may seem like a lot to define immediately. And I'll be honest, I didn't define it immediately. I asked the questions, and maybe not even all of them. It's a constant evolution throughout the journey. So I may jot down an idea and expand on it a little later, change it, but I wanted to at the very least give myself some guidelines to work within as I began the journey. And give myself some parameters too. Not making too many changes, but making sure it's exactly what I desired and ultimately who I wanted her to be. Thank you guys so much for hanging in here with me. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up if you'd like to see more content from me. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. You won't want to miss the next one. In the next video, we're going to review step 4, and that was developing routines. I want to go into great detail explaining to you guys how I establish routines. It's definitely easier said than done, but I want to share the details just in case it's something that you can apply in your journey. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
It's all about the antidote.
It's my life, my way, the end.
It's all about the antidote.
It's my life, my way, the end.
It's all about the antidote.
It's my life, my way, the end.
It's all about the antidote. 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 Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's all about the antidote.